Today we're going to show you how to install the Weiser Ultra Bright LED brake and turn signal inserts. And this is a 2016 R1200 GSA, and we'll go through step by step how to install on this bike. Step one is to open up the blinker housing using a small Phillips screwdriver and remove the reflector and bulb assembly, taking care to disconnect these wires that connect to the back of the bulb assembly. On this bike, the blue is your positive turn signal wire and the brown is the ground wire. Next, you'll insert the housing key. This holds the housing in place, and then you'll put the LED board eventually over it. And the way you insert it into the bike is the printed side towards the center of the motorcycle and the arrow pointing into the housing. So on this bike, we have to lower the rear tail section in order to access the back side of the turn signal wiring. You do this by removing two T30 screws up underneath the sides of the tail section here. Next, we will insert the wire labeled Weiser and 3-in-1 on the two ends, and you'll insert the bare end through the hole in the blinker housing along the way the original wiring is running and out the back side. On this particular motorcycle, there's a blinker relocation kit, so the wire comes straight out. Normally this wire would come into the plastic housing here, but you just follow the wiring back along the original wiring route. And you want to make sure to leave the same length of similar length of wiring for this new lead we've added as the other leads have in the OEM wiring. And step 4 is to repeat the same steps 1 through 3 on the other side of the motorcycle. We'll want to remove the front and rear seats and the battery panel cover to access where we need to add the relay. So you want to bring the two wires you added to the rear brake light or the turn signal housings. You want to run them towards the battery section. So on this particular bike, run them along. At this point, you want to connect the two wires that you just added to the turn signal housings that are labeled 3-in-1 to the final wire that's in your packaging that's also labeled 3-in-1. To connect these three wires, we'll use the blue posi twist connector supplied with the kit. The way this works is you want to strip the wire ends about 3/8 of an inch in length, and you'll twist the three ends evenly together. And then this connector unscrews, and you'll slide the threaded collar portion over the three wires. I like to fray the ends of these a little bit so they get a better connection, and then put the cap end over those inserted wires, tightening all the way down. And once it's tight, you want to check each of the three wires to make sure they're nice and secure. And then what I generally do is wrap a zip tie around here to secure them as secondary so that they don't come apart when you're moving these wires around. Just take the small zip tie supplied with the kit, and tighten securely, and then remove the tail. As an added measure of safety, I like to wrap this connection with a bit of electrical tape to keep any water or dust out of the connection. So now the available end that we have is the relay 87 end. We want to run this right to the battery area. And we'll take this relay 87 and connect it to the, referencing your wiring diagram, to the 87 terminal on the relay. For step 7, we will connect the positive battery lead, which take note that the fuse is out. Make sure and leave that out until instructed to put that fuse in later on in the installation. And then this is the ground terminal that will connect to the battery. Now that we've made these two connections to the battery, you want to connect the positive to the number 30 terminal, and you'll want to connect the negative to the number 85 terminal. And the final connection to make is the relay 86 connection, which will connect to the relay here, and then the other end. And this terminal 86 wire, you're going to want to connect to the brake signal, the brake positive wire. So when the brake is applied, it gets 12 volt positive. And so the best place to find that is right behind the tail light on the back of the motorcycle. You'll find the negative, ground, the turn, and the brake. And you'll want to connect this to the brake. So you'll typically find the easiest way to find the brake light wire is right near the connection to the brake light bulb. But on this specific motorcycle, the 2016 R1200 GSA, I can find this wire a little bit closer, right next to underneath the rear seat. There's a large bundle of wires. You can see we've already connected the front inserts on this motorcycle. And then now we're going to connect to the brake light using this posi tap connector, which this gray end unscrews and has a channel that you slide over the OEM brake wire. And then the other end of it has a pointy section that pierces the insulation of the OEM wire as you screw it onto the wire. So now we have a good electrical connection there. The other end of this connector, the red end, unscrews, and this is where you will insert the relay trigger wire that we just ran back here, slide it through the threaded collar, and tighten it down onto the rest of the connector. And after you have it tight, make sure that it's secure. Now at this point, all we have to do is install the LED boards up front and then test the function of the lights. Step 11 is to take care when handling these the LED boards that you want to make sure and dissipate any static electricity you have by touching a metal portion of the motorcycle to then get rid of any static electricity. And now we're ready to install the LED board into the blinker housing. You can see there are 3 terminals on here: a B for brake, T for turn, and E for earth or ground. And so the new white wire that we added will connect to the B for brake, and the blue turn signal wire, positive wire, will connect to the T, and the brown ground wire will connect to the E for earth. Taking care to insert these connectors all the way down onto the terminals. And then you can insert the board into the OEM housing and install the lens cover. And the final step is to test the function of the lights, and you want to make sure and do that with the engine started. So test the front brake, rear brake, turn signal 1, turn signal 2, and if your bike has it, the hazard function. So it seems like everything's working great, so the installation is complete.